then?
Yeah,
No?
now it is. Yeah, now. I mean, just before, like 2 seconds before we saw that. Can you try
Okay.
once again?
Yeah, Zali, can you see the screen now?
No, it's coming as meet now.
Yeah, yeah, now we can see.
Now you can
Yes,
see
I'm
my
able to.
okay, that's good. Fine. So since we were talking about the system layer, right?
Yeah.
So if you see this, these are all out-of-box system tables, okay? Because Microsoft have released this product, so they have predefined tables and classes. Okay, I
Okay.
mean all their objects are predefined. If you go there on any table, okay, suppose this is a table, right? Accounting distributions,
Okay.
right? If you see this, I'll just open the notes and open the notes of method, let's say. Okay, these are all different methods. Okay, now when you right click and let's say add-ins, okay. Um, okay, let's say you'll go with the compare option. Okay, compare. Can you see what is the in the bracket? You can see sys, right?
Okay.
On the very top here, data dictionary, tables, accounting
Tables.
distribution, and sys. Okay,
Hmm.
it means that this particular object is in the sys layer. Okay,
Okay.
it is
Yeah.
under the sys layer. If you want to know what is the layer of this particular object, what you can do is go to tools and options here. Tools, options, you have development. See application object layer. Okay, I'll say show all the layers.
Okay.
Okay, so now
Yeah.
on every object it will show the layers. I'll close this window. So under tools and options you have that setting. Now you can see just beside this table, you can see in the bracket what is the layer, right? Before this it was not coming.
Okay.
So it means that this is in the
Yeah.
system layer. So
Yeah.
system layer objects are defined by the Microsoft. Okay. It is
Okay.
protected in a layer. Even though if you try to delete these particular things, it will never get deleted. See, if you delete this, right, it is asking me to remove the accounting distributions. I say okay. Yeah. See, it has compiled and tries to remove, but it didn't remove it because that is in
Yeah.
the system.
Yeah.
Okay. So for each and every layer, there is a particular license for it. Okay. So these licenses should be defined on the configuration of AX. Okay. Whenever I open this AX, I mean for each and every AX client there will be a configuration, right? Before
Okay.
opening this particular client, you should define the configuration. So when I open my AX, I have my configuration with user layer, okay, which is the outermost layer, the very top layer it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can see my user layer here defined. See current application layer. Can you see my cursor here down
Yeah.
bottom side?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Right bottom I can see here USR, which is user layer. Okay. So I am into the layer of user, and the innermost layer is called system layer. Okay. So
Yeah.
let's say if I do some customizations on top of system layer, then my customizations will always be in the top priority. Okay. I mean the outermost layer will get executed first and then the innermost layer.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So it goes in this way. So right now you can see the accounting distribution is in the system layer. Let's
System.
say,
Yeah.
yes, let us say I want to configure this table with also the user layer. Let's say I have accounting event type as one of the method, right?
Yeah.
I will double click on this. Really, can you follow this? Lily, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but the person.
Lily, can you hear me? I don't know where.
I don't know. He left or
Let me see.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm able to hear you. I think there is some issue with the voice, so I'm perfectly fine with the voice.
So I've just told you a lot of different concepts here. You got that, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, fine. So since I was talking about I was just talking about the sys layer and the user layer. Sys layer is the innermost layer and user layer is the one on which I was connected. And this is the topmost layer. So what I'm going to do is, like on this method, accounting event type, I will double click and write some statement here. Let's say I'll add some comment over here, okay?
yeah.
After this, I'll press enter and write some comment. Okay, let's say I'll write like this. Layer testing. Okay. So
Yeah.
this is what I have written here in this method, and I will close this method now. See, in this now under the bracket you can say sys comma user,
Yeah.
because there was a system layer, right? System
Yeah.
defined code, and on the top of it I have written my code, right?
Yes.
So it
Yeah.
has come in the two layers, sys and user.
User.
And also, if you look at it, it is now bold. These letters are bold now, right? These are not
Yeah.
normal. Before this, it was normal. With this, you
Yes.
can recognize that this has been customized. Okay,
Yes.
this particular
Yes.
object is been customized. So it is
Yeah.
in sys layer and the user layer. If you go inside this, you can see this. Okay, this is the one. Okay. Now let's say
Yeah.
what happens if I try to delete this. Okay,
Yeah.
system layer will never get deleted, as you know, right?
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
am in the user layer. If I delete this, entire user layer will get deleted,
You,
not the system layer.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's say if I try to delete this. Okay. It is again
Yeah.
back to the normal state.
Normal.
And
Yeah.
if I go to method, that particular comment has been removed.
Yeah.
Okay. And even this is in the sys layer. All are in sys layer now. Okay. Let's say I want to add some field. Okay.
I have one question on this.
What is it?
What about when you delete the layer, user layer, what about the data which is there inside the layer, like in the
Yeah.
table?
Yeah.
So
If
if
it is,
the user
it will get deleted.
input something through the user layer, so if I delete it, is the data will be there or it will be gone?
It will be gone easily. Because since you delete the customizations, everything will be gone.
Okay,
Okay.
so the whatever end user has entered the data through user layer will be gone from the table.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So this is again based on like on which layer you have to connect. That again defined on the configuration file. Okay. So
Yeah.
for each and every EX you have a configuration. If you go to configuration, let's say for go here, EX configuration here, under developer, here you have a application object layer to open, right?
Yes.
This one. So it is, for me it is user layer. You can just simply go here and select any other layer and click the developer license code, because you have to give the license code. Only user is the one for which license code is not required. Okay, this is the
Yeah.
topmost layer. Okay, so if I show you the layer things, uh, Okay, so simply go to links 2012 minutes. Okay. Okay. So user is the one which is the topmost layer. Okay.
Okay.
And sys is the one which is the standard. Okay, Microsoft
One.
like defined layer, which is the innermost layer. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is actually the onion type structure. If you look at it, it is
Yeah.
like
Yes.
you have the innermost layer as a sys layer and the outermost layer as a user layer.
User.
Okay. So after that you have a lot of layer in between, like you have GLS layer, that is again global localization layer. Basically what happens is if you are customizing something, okay, then you
Okay.
should only log in using user, cust layer, which is customer layer, okay, var layer or the ISV layer. These are the four layers on which you can connect, okay, and you can do the
Yeah.
customizations. And these are all system defined layer. I mean Microsoft, it releases the patch that would go and sit in these layers, between these layers. Okay. So let us discuss each layer one by one now. Yeah. Okay. So the very
Okay.
first thing is system layer. We have already discussed what is system layer. It is the
Yes.
innermost layer where all our standard code resides. All the
Yeah.
standard code. Even though if you release the system layer object, it can be table, classes, queries, enums, entities, views, maps. It can be any object. Okay. If you
Yeah.
release the innermost layer, system layer, it will never get deleted. Okay.
Yeah.
On the top of system you can do any customizations. Okay. On any layer you can do the customizations. Let's say I'm on a var layer. If I want to do customizations, it will accept the customizations. Okay, and it will always show the top level customizations first. Okay. Okay. Next is the GLS layer. GLS is nothing but it's a global localization system. Okay. Global localization is nothing but let's say for different countries there will be a different tax structures. Right? For India there's a different tax structure. For US different tax structure. Right?
Okay.
There can be different tax structures for different countries. So what does Microsoft do is like they release a tax structure in different layers. Okay. So when AX when you install that tax thing or tax explos in AX, then that would go and reside in the GLS layer. Yeah, global localization. These layers are segregated only because of the different codes, where it sits. That's it. Okay. So your code can sit here in sys layer, can reside in GLS layer or FTP layer like that.
Okay.
Okay. So global localization only because of the different countries' taxes will go with the
Yeah.
GLS.
Yeah.
Okay. Similarly, you have then FPK layers. Okay. And then you have FTP layers. Okay. These are all country specific, integrated solution like vertical solutions and all. Now you
Okay.
have, if you go on top of it again, you have var layer, okay, value added reseller layer, and you have customer layer, and finally you have a user layer. Okay. So these are all different layers on which we will be working on. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically you
Yeah.
can connect with user layer, which is like no need of licensing. And user layer will simply connect to the configuration, and I mean you will simply develop or install the AX and connect to a default standard development, which is the user layer. If you want to do some customizations in the customer layer, you can simply connect with the cust layer. Okay, so whatever modifications you do in the cust layer, that would sit in the cust layer. Because when you try
Okay.
to compare the object, or when you try to go to the object, you can see it is this comma cust, this comma var, like
Okay.
that. Okay. So apart
Yeah.
from this, you also have like how you have sys, GLS, FTP. In between these, you also have a patch layer. Okay, patches are nothing but suppose on top of any layer, if Microsoft have released some, let's say there was a bug in one of the products. Okay, let's say you are doing a transfer order in here. Okay. Transfer order, I mean, you are moving a product from one warehouse to another warehouse. Okay. In that case, let's say
Okay.
there is some bug of some concept. So in that case, what happens is like the Microsoft releases a patch to fix this, right? So these patches are nothing but these are updates on the previous page, right? So in that case, they'll just release their patches. The user will download and it will import that patches into Apex, okay, or they'll install it. So what happens if they install, it will go and sit in the patches layer. It can goes to FPP layer, which is feature pack layer, or the like SIP layer, standard patches layer. Okay, on top of SIS there will be a SIP. On a FPK it is top on this FPP, SLP, okay, ISP, BUP like that. Plus you have a CUP cup layer, like that. Just a patches layer. Just if any modifications happens, it will go and sit in the modified. Okay. Here you can see there's a model.
Mm.
It's not clear.
It's not clear actually.
Yeah. Yeah, here it is. See, on SIS you have a SIP layer, right, on top of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is nothing but for the patches. Okay. For GLS you have GLP. Okay. For FPK you have FTP, feature pack. Okay. Feature pack patches. And then you have SLN, solution layers. Okay. SLP. For ISP, independent software vendor, you have ISP. Okay. Patches layer again on top of it. For WAR you have WAP. Okay. Plus cup, user and USB. Okay.
What is that USP layer?
USP is again user patches. So basically it never exists, right, in our case, because whatever we do, we always do it directly.
It's in the user.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, because in our case what happens is whatever we do, we directly do it in the user layer. We never go with the USP layer.
Okay.
So whatever customization we do, that will go and sit in the USR layer. Okay. Let's say if I go to any classes here, there are a lot of objects, right? If I go to class, I can see this is layer. Let's say I want to create my own class. So I'll right click and create a new class. See, it is class 2 and under the bracket I can see user layer.
Yeah.
It is the user layer. And if I open this, I can also see the default method called class declaration, and this is also the user layer. Okay. So double click on this. It is class 2, class and class name.
Yeah.
This is the user layer. And if I go to here, it is system layer. So the default layer on which I am connected, that is getting bold here, right?
Yeah.
If I am on the user layer gets bold out here. Okay, it means that I
Yes.
can easily find out what are the customizations I have done.
Okay.
I have one question here.
Yeah.
When I develop some report or something on the VAR layer, and if I import it to the live environment,
Okay.
so in that case, the changes will affect to all the layers. If I do it in VAR environment, a VAR layer, and then import it, even the users which are connecting to the system through user layer, they are able to see, or I need to develop in user layer, then again import it to the user layer.
See, basically what happens is if you are moving something from the dev instance from var layer to the other layer, there should be always a one layer existing in your case, right? In your system, it never be two different layers. If your different users should also work on var only. It's never a best practice to work in two different layers. If you're working in var, others should also be in the var only.
No, my question is like I developed in the test environment in the VAR layer.
Okay.
But when I'm importing into the live environment always consists of the user layer.
Okay.
So when I developed in the VAR layer and import the reports in the user layer, So the users will able to see the changes in the user layer, or they will
Yes.
be able to see.
No, as you said, in the live instance, you will be not developing anything, right? It is always been the
Yes.
user, right? In your case. So what you
Yes.
do is whenever you install or whenever you move your customizations from your var layer to the user layer, automatically all your var layer objects will be converted to the user layer at that time when you are importing, right? Because your default instance there was user layer.
Okay. And also
Okay.
when you import, there is an option called delete AOT or something.
Okay.
So
Which is
is there any changes that will work on that? Like just
uh,
to understand the layer concepts.
okay. We will go through it now. Okay. We'll just see what is the import export options. Okay.
Okay.
If you have anything on the layers concept, you will ask me because Bhavya, you are clear on this, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay, great. So I was just giving you an example how this layers are differentiated here in AX. So this is a user, and if I do some modifications on this standard layer again, if I create a new method here, that will come in the user layer, and this become a sys and a user. Okay.
Hmm.
So it is again darken here. Now you can see it's a user layer, right?
Okay.
Okay. Let me just try to take a backup of both the classes. Okay, I'll take the backup. The backup in AX can be done through the export option. Okay,
Okay.
I'll just select both the object using the by pressing Control. Okay, and I'll right click, and there is an option called export.
Export.
Okay, if I click on export, okay, so I've got this option, right? I'll just select the path where I want to save this. Let's say on the desktop, I'll just place this class underscore class XP. I'll just say class XP class underscore XP. Okay. If you remember, like if you see here, save as a type will be a .xpo. Okay.
Okay.
Like how we have for a word we have some different things, right? And for Excel
Yeah.
yes. In the same way we have for XP like .xpo. And
Okay.
like this is my file name class underscore XP, and I'll save it. It comes here, and I'll say okay. You can see the application object layer is the user layer by default.
Username.
Okay. I'll say okay. So when I go back to my desktop to look at what I did save, this is the XP, right? Class underscore XP dot XP. The extension is
Okay.
.xpo. So if you want to see what is there in this XPO, okay, you can always open this with the notepad option. Okay, just to look at what is there in this program. So this is the notepad. Okay. So this is how we can open this XPO, and I can see what is there in this XPO. So we have a class, right? And this is what the other class is. ACC distribution is, and all the methods and everything, whatever is there in that. Okay. So you should not change this anything over here. Okay. Anything name or anything. So this is how you can view the XPO file. Okay, using the notepad. So you'll get to know what are objects we have in this XPO. So now let's say I'll delete this class 2. Okay. So once I delete this class 2, it will delete it permanently because this is in the user layer, right?
Okay.
Will be no more seeing it class 2 then. I'll delete and I say okay. That has been removed. There is nothing in that class 2. Okay, there is no class 2 at all. And this particular
Okay.
class has a method called method 1, which is a user list. Okay. Now let's say I want to get that XPO here. Okay. I want to import all the things whatever there in my particular XPO. So there is an option called import. Okay, on the top of AOT. Okay, on this bar we have import to AOT option, or otherwise you also have this option, import. Everywhere you will find this option. If I click on this and select that particular file which I want to import, here is the one. Okay,
Okay.
so this is how I import things. Okay, I just browse and select a particular object. Okay, and delete the sub elements. Okay,
Okay.
and I say okay. So, okay, before doing okay, I just see what are there in this particular activity. If I want to show, I will go to show details. Okay, the show details option will tell you what all objects you have in that. So you have only classes. So it just shows the class name. Under this, you can see
And
the two different
can you
classes.
just explain as well what are the options which are there, like only application object, and label?
Yeah.
What does it does?
Yes, yes. So now for the time being, I just show this one. Okay. If you go here and compare this particular class, see you can see the two different layers here, USR and the XP. Okay. Because it shows USR because already the particular class, okay, in the XPO has user layer. Okay, and this is an XPO layer. This is an XPO for which we are going to compare, and this is the system defined user layer. When you compare it, you will not find any differences, right? No differences. Why? Because
Okay.
you have the same thing whatever there in the system, right? In the system also you have the same class. That's why it is not showing any difference. So before taking this particular objects into the system, you always have to compare it. Okay? You can easily find out what is the difference, right? I think we'll understand more better way just a minute. So for this class 2, it is not darkened because this is not yet appeared in the system, and there is no compare option also. Okay, because this is a very
Okay.
new object. Whenever it is a new object, it will not. It will be simple plain things, and you will not get a compare option. Okay.
Yeah.
Because this is a new object. Let me do one thing. Let me add something into this particular method now. Okay. And close it. Let's say in the class declaration, I'll go and add here and add like this string. Okay. And right. I have added a new string called test. Now I'll try to bring in. Okay. And try to bring browse and that's it. And I can show detail. So here is classes and this is the one. Now I'll compare it. The user layer and the XPO layer. XPO for which I am going to get it, and the user from the system. So compare it. Under the class declaration, you can see this is in red color. Okay. It means that red one is the user layer, right? So in the user layer you have this, and in XPO blue color you don't have that. Okay. If it is red color means this is there in the user layer.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the new things which is there in this particular class, which is not there in the XPO. Okay, that is correct. In the XPO we don't have this, but in the user layer we do have, right?
Yeah.
Let's say if I delete this entire class, let's say. Okay, now it is totally in the system layer. There is no
System layer.
user layer at all. Everything is in the system layer. I'll go and import this. Go to show details, classes, and see it is still in dark because the object which is coming from XPO is different things. So you go and compare. See now the system has changed this. This sys layer because right now the top layer is the only sys layer. There is no user at all. The topmost layer is the sys.
Yeah.
So it's going to compare with the sys and the XPO. XPO is the one which has our customization. So I'll go and compare.
Yeah.
So now it will show the method 1 as a new object, right? This is the not there in the system. But we have this method in the XPO.
XPO.
Any doubt on this? Yeah, right? Did you have any doubt?
No, it's fine. Can you also explain about the options, import options which are there?
Yes.
What does
Yes.
it do?
Now I'll be telling you the options of import. Okay. Let's say for each and every object in AX, let's say I'll talk about any errors or anything over here. Okay, we don't have anything labels here. So let's say you have some labels on. Here, okay, I have my own method. I'll create a new method. Let us say. I'll create a new method. Right. Let's say yes method. Okay. Right. Just a minute. Let's say private void test method. This is my method, and I'll do str. Okay, is equal to. I'll write some labels. Okay, so label is okay. So just create a system label out of this identification. I right click and look up the labels for it. So this is the system layers. Okay. For this particular label, I have this ID defined to the base label, and so instead of writing a static text, I have written a label ID. So this label ID gives me an identification. Okay. So let's say if you create your own projects, okay, if you have your own customization and everything, probably you will be creating your own label ID. Okay? You will be not using the system defined label like this. Okay?
Yeah.
So what happens is this is the label file node. Under this label file, you can create your own label IDs, like how these are getting created. PR and AB. These are all user specific labels. You can right click and create a new file, label file using the wizard. Okay, and whenever you start creating a label, it will just start with the label ID 1, 2, 3 like that it goes. Okay? So why I'm telling you this, because whenever you import any object, okay, whenever you import any XPO from that, you have three options here. Okay, only application objects and labels, and only labels. Okay, when you choose this option, okay, you can also see the create labels in the label file. You can select that particular label where all your label with the object should get imported. Okay, not only application objects, also the labels you wanted to get imported. Okay, as I have shown you one example in the class, I have created one label for a static text, right? In that case, I also want my labels to be introduced in classes. Not only application objects should get introduced, also the new labels, whatever they are in the thing. So here I can select what is the label files for which I want to get that label in. Okay. So I can just select it. If I go to show data, I'll select it. Right? Now you can see the two different tabs here, labels and the label detail. Before this, we were not getting these tabs. Okay. Before this, you were not getting this tab, labels and label detail.
Yeah, label tab. Yeah.
Okay. So now you can see the two different tabs as well. Okay. So it means that whatever, and also the languages you can see. Okay. So under which language that particular label you are going to import it.
Okay.
Okay. So import from will give you the empty the objects and this languages. Okay, for the label language and the label IDs you get whatever there in the object of this experience. Okay. Right now you have two different objects in this experience, like two different classes. So for those classes, whatever the labels we are using, it will come and sit in this label. So you can easily find out what are the labels you are using in that application objects. Okay, in those objects, it can be any type of object. It can be class, forms, tables, whatever. Okay. So
Yeah.
you can see all those labels when you go with the application objects and labels. Okay. So final option is called only labels. Okay. If you go with only labels, you can only see the labels. So you are only bringing the labels. You are not bringing the application objects. Okay. If you click on only labels, you can see only you are bringing only the labels. Okay. See. Like this, you can get it. Right. So with whatever the file you will browse, with that you can simply get the labels. Okay. But
Okay.
there's a very easy, yeah, but there's a very easy way to get this label. Instead of going through this, you can simply go to the label node and import from the user labels. We have an option called import. Okay, create from file.
Okay. Yeah.
Basically, labels will be stored in the form of ALD file, with the extension of ALD. Okay, application label data.
So we can even import from the other sections, and we can create our own. Both the ways we can do, right?
Yeah, yeah, you can do both of it. If you want to get the labels also from the other system, if you have ALD file, you can simply get it from here, create from file, and you can get that label. If
Okay.
you
With
want,
what extension you told?
this is ALD, dot ALD.
Okay. Yeah. All the labels will be saved in with that.
Right, this is one of the files. Okay.
Okay.
Let us say this test. Okay. If you want to export this particular label, okay, I will go to language. Which language you want to export? So EN users. Right click, and you have an option called export to the label file.
Okay.
Right. I will click on export. Let's say I'll put it on the desktop, and I'll say OK. Okay. Zali, can you hear me?
Yeah, I am able to hear you.
Okay. So this is the one which got imported. I mean, it is exported here. So it is AX3ES ENUS.ALD. Right. This is in the form of ALD file. Even this you can view using the notepad. This will just show you what are the different labels you have in this. So notepad, and see. You can see at the rate of TES, at the rate of TS2 address 2. Test 4 is first name, test 5 test 6, like this you
Okay.
have.
Okay. Yeah.
So label file gets started with the at the rate of.
Okay.
So I can see what is the last number we have used. This is at the rate of test 47.
Okay.
At the rate of TES 47.
Okay.
So this is an ALD file. This is ALD file. If you want to import that ALD file, you can simply right click and import from file. You have an option for create from file. When I go this, it will looking for label file.ald.
Yeah.
And I say open, you come and it will ask that label file already exists in the language. So you want to override, I'll say yes. And this will get overridden.
Mm.
So this is the concept of how import export can be done of different layers, okay, and how you can view the different layers thing, right?
Yeah.
And the different options over there to import the objects with the labels or only labels, okay. But this is the most easiest way of exporting and importing the label of using the .ald file, okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any doubt till now, Bhavya or Rizali?
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah.
So slowly what we can do is like we can go through the different types of projects which we can create in AX, okay?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we can move to the objects of creation. Okay, how the different objects can be created. Like we can start with the tables created under data dictionary. We have tables. Okay,
Okay.
so how the tables can be created. Okay, what are the different types required for creation of the tables? That would be easy for you because that's simply like a very common creation of tables, like how we do in the SQL in the same way. Look at the different data types which are required to create a table columns, okay, the table fields here we need to say. Okay. So go to tables, we can see the different fields, okay, and then we can go to each and every particular nodes of a table. So these are the nodes of table: field group, indexes, okay, index,
Yeah.
different indexes and methods. These are
Uh,
the different.
I'm sorry. I think I need to leave for now because I need to get ready for the office.
Yeah, even like I'm doing this particular one. So from tomorrow we'll go through each and every thing. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Bye, Dalil. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you.
So where shall we start from tomorrow?